I had a lot of footage from this year's Moonshiners fly-in. I've already posted a short version, but I wanted to share some more of the footage I had here in this longer version. Moonshiners 2021 was held at Johnson County Airport in Mountain City, Tennessee. The airport's 2,240 feet above sea level and is a public use general aviation airport with a paved runway measuring 4,498 by 75 feet. This wasn't planned, but right after launch I noticed James here with the POW flag. James is from Central North Carolina, and I fly with him quite often with a group of guys out of the Raleigh area. So he'll fly the U.S. flag sometimes, and he's got the POW flag here as well. It's always cool to see him fly the colors. Here's a great view of all the cornfields on one side of the runway here, and you see the creek right there running through the fields and running parallel to the runway there. That's called Roan Creek, and we had quite a few adventures in that creek over the course of the fly-in. The airport's located in the northeastern corner of Tennessee, and the two runways, runway 24 operates with a standard left-hand pattern, but runway 6 operates with a right-hand pattern. So if you general aviation people, you'd understand. So that keeps all of the traffic, no matter which runway they're using, on one side of the airport. So from this angle, it's on the left-hand side of the airport there. And that had to do with the mountain ranges on either side of the runway. One side was taller than the other, which kind of prohibited traffic from being able to use that side of the runway for the traffic pattern. So, and here's a good shot of flying over the corn. Here's two guys I ran into in a field near the airport. Don't know who these guys were, but they were having a good time just like the rest of us. There was 153 pilots that were registered for the fly-in, so we had a pretty good turnout. And here's a good view of all the RVs and the campers, tents, and everybody camped out here by the hangars right off the ramp. There was a catering service where they were serving breakfast and lunch almost every day. And then one night we had dinner served as well as live music and fireworks. So it was a good time. Unfortunately, we did have one pilot get injured during the event, and as I was coming into land, there were some police cars coming out on the runway. I'd already committed to land, so I just kept going. So I flew pretty much right in between them on my landing, which I think must have impressed the judges. There's guys holding up scorecards here for when people landed. I don't think it was necessarily my landing. It was probably the fact that I'd buzzed the police cars that impressed them. But yeah, I'll take the scores either way. Thanks, Woody, Q. Appreciate it, guys. So here's another launch. I won't get into the details of density altitude, but because of the higher elevation, your wing and your motor aren't as efficient. So what that means is you got to run further to get in the air. So I think we all experienced that. But it was, just a couple of launches to get adjusted to the difference, and everything was fine. Although the wind did switch quite a bit on us, so you had to pay attention to that. So I had an opportunity one morning to fly out to Watauga Lake. Now, Watauga Lake stretches across Johnson and Carter counties, and over half of its 105-mile shoreline is within the Cherokee National Forest. And the famed Appalachian Trail crosses the western tip of the lake and follows its northern bank towards Virginia. Interesting, the lake is a man-made reservoir with a dam that was completed back in 1948. And that's when it was used to impede the Watauga and Elk Rivers. And it's also used to generate hydropower. But of course, there's a lot of recreation activity that happens out here. There's an old town called Old Butler at the bottom of the lake. It was settled in 1786, but when the residents had to move in 1948 when the lake was filled. So they've got another town now called New Butler, of course. This was awesome to fly just above the cloud layer here that was hovering over the lake. And you can see some of the really nice homes here on the lakeshore. It was an awesome flight. Of course, a little nerve-wracking. Having an engine out right here would not be good. Although I did have flotation. And it looks like, somebody probably wouldn't have minded if I had to use their backyard there to set it down if I needed to. There were some fields along the way back in the valleys here, which gave me some opportunities to land if I needed to. But I didn't have any issues, so it was an awesome flight. Just a beautiful morning. Yep, checking the altitude and speed here on the Garmin Fenix 6 with the StuFly app. Use it quite a bit for navigation and recording my flight, altitude, all that stuff. So it's a useful tool. I think this was everyone's favorite corn trench to run through. I saw a bunch of other videos posted where guys going through this thing. It's the old Star Wars X-Wing fighter run, taking out the Death Star. And I saw something out of the corner of my eye as I was going through the trench here. So I took a quick peek to my right. And guess who was flying beside me? Mr. Brook Sheffield. So yeah, I gave him a quick wave. He peeled off to give me some room because the trees were coming. But yeah, that was pretty cool. So yep, popping over the trees here is pretty fun. Kind of swoop down into the field. And again, the corn. Now here's a run down the creek. This was fun. And sometimes flying over water is not the smartest thing to do, but in this case, the water's probably ankle deep in most of this creek here. So the most dangerous thing was the rocks were pretty slippery. So when you're trying to walk down through here, it could get a little treacherous, but flying over it was no big deal. Now, as I turn over the cornfield here, you're going to see something off to my right. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Flying with a drone. That was Scott FPV. You can look him up online. He's got a YouTube channel too, I believe. But yeah, great flying. He flew around us pretty much the entire fly-in. It was him and another guy. But they did some really awesome flying, got some great shots. And coming in for the landing. So I know this video has been super long, but I just wanted to post some of the flying that I did. It was awesome. I had a lot of fun. And the most important thing was hanging out with all the people here at the fly-in and getting to see everybody. Just a lot of fun getting to meet new people and seeing old friends and just flying every single day. Can't beat it. And here's Ripman Ridin walking up, saying hi after the landing. So this was the last day. Most everybody had left. And Bob, he was just me and him, I think. And there was another person in a powered parachute that was flying that day. But I believe it was, must have been Sunday. Last day of the fly-in, most everybody had left. And it was early in the morning. Didn't know if we'd get a flight in or not, but we did. Here's the powered parachute. Bob and I made it out to this rock quarry. I'd seen it off in the distance before in previous days, but never made it out here. It was a little bumpy, but pretty cool to fly over. Just kind of dug out of the side of the mountain here, basically. Yeah, just, again, a great morning flight. Well, that's all I got for Moonshiners 2021. We'll see how the flying goes next year, but again, I'm looking forward to more flyings next year. I want to make it out to Bad Apples if I can. There's a couple more on the list that haven't been to yet, so looking forward to that.